Afterwards, I had been approached about being an expert consultant for the X Prize 100 mile per gallon equivalent $10 million fuel economy race. I said, okay. I read through the rules and there was no possible way for a winner. I said, nope, ain't doing it. Then a second person approached me, and without a bat, I said, nope, no way. And then a third person approached me. And of course, default answer, not interested. He said, why? I said, well, because I read the rules and there's no way for a possible winner. They've got it rigged up to where you cannot win this thing. I'll get back with you. And he got back with me and he said, you know, sometimes they're changing the rules twice a day. And I went through and I'm not seeing what you saw. Could you just read through them again? Well, I read through them again and lo and behold, it actually allowed for a winner. So in 2008, I became the tech guy for Liberty Motors entry number 20. 2008, brand new at the time, Hyundai Sonata. And I'm like, Sonata? We're going to win a 100 mile per gallon fuel economy race with the mid-size family sedan? He said, well, that was plan B. Unfortunately, plan A didn't work out. You still interested? Yeah, it'll be fun. There's a section on the X Prize car in the training course, so I'll kind of gloss over that. But we got a best of 83 miles per gallon in one of the trials at Michigan Raceway. Roush gave us a 40% increase, 42 miles per gallon over the stock 30. And just normal driving, it was usually mid to high 50s. Later on, this gentleman, his name's Randy, became one of my business partners. Another expert that was involved in Dutchman's defense, Matt Curtin, he and I got to know each other pretty well and really liking each other. And we wound up starting Ecoceptor LLC. That's my company. That's the parent company that's put together the MP Genie training, Ecoceptor LLC. So it was formed September of 2010. The X Prize car, I had to do some magic, I guess, with it electronically to try to get the ECU to cooperate. And I did not know a lot about electronics back then. So it was all analog. I mean, op amps, 555 timers, comparators, transistors, RC circuits, all analog. But it still got us a 40% increase from Roush. When we formed Ecoceptor, we decided there's lots of hardware out there. There's inventors everywhere that have really awesome stuff. And none of them are getting anywhere. One of the biggest challenges is I got this great gizmo, but I can't get it to work because it really needs electronic controls. So I dove into anything and everything electronics. I started building up a library, bigger and bigger, full of books on electronics. And I bought stuff, I prototyped stuff, and I tested stuff, and I subscribed to industry magazines, and logged on and started following blogs on the topic and just learning everything I could. I eventually kicked in my heels and said, we got to go microprocessor. So I learned basic programming language and low-level stuff. Later I learned C. Took me into like digital signal processors and some much higher end stuff. My toolbox of specialty IC chips grew, so I got more and more familiar with the tools that are available out there. And instead of prototyping hand-wired stuff on proto boards, I was getting professional PCB boards done, working with surface mount and all sort of things. Another gentleman that I got to know through the HAFC program is named Samuel Burlum. He was, no doubt, like the #1 installer in the nation when it came to that HAFC kit and getting the results. After the trial, we continued a relationship, and he bought the rights for a product called the Intercharger. It's a PCV system catalyst. Later, he renamed it the Smart Emissions Reducer for marketing reasons. I started working with them where I would write up technical papers and then I would do training. I created training programs for them, the same as I did for Dutchman. I wrote test protocol, and then we would carry out the testing, and then I would analyze the results and write up the reports, and it was great. I got to go all over the U.S., across Canada. I was in Jordan 7 times, Saudi Arabia twice, China 7 times, Italy. So that took me around the world as a consultant. Yeah, in addition, while I was working with Paul, I forgot to mention I went to China, Hong Kong, and South Korea representing that geek technology. As a side job, I got an opportunity to bid on assembly line equipment, just what I did, you know, the programming and wiring and so forth, for a subsidiary of Boeing out of Ohio. And I got to learn about programmable logic controllers, PLCs, the 24-volt VREF, 480 three-phase, incredible electricity, and a whole bunch of other things. Got to learn, you know, what makes a factory work a little better, you know, assembly line, and that was an adventure that I think really helped me to refine my skills. Now, in closing, with all of that fuel economy experience, I got to tell you, back in 2020, this is not what I was working on. I was working on an electronic idea where you could take 1 unit of electricity, run it through our little black box, and get 2 units of work at the other end. In other words, batteries would last twice as long. The meter would spin half as fast. Whatever. We called it the energy amp. When gas prices doubled and kept going, my team and I decided, you know what, we need to go back to our roots. We need to get back to fuel economy. And how can we best serve the public, our fellow man, and actually make a living at it? Don't forget, you know, it's a business after all. And so the whole MP-Genie training program was introduced. Our goals are, we introduced the 1-day training class, which is what you just watched, what you have at your disposal. And then to take that to the next level, we have a week-long professional training class for mechanics. So now mechanics can offer fuel economy services to their customers with confidence, with satisfaction guarantee, 100% legal, so they don't get in trouble with, you know, local authorities and whatnot. And then the next step after that would be to pick a course. One of the topics in this course, combustion or ignition or PCV. And instead of having just a 20, 40-minute segment on it, actually spending an entire day, maybe 2 or more, on just that topic. And there's courses like tuning and, you know, HHO could easily take up an entire week all by themselves. This is just the start of the program. You've just heard an abbreviated version of my story, the journey that I took to get to where I'm at. I'm rooting for you. I walked away from the energy amp, which, quite honestly, is potentially a huge moneymaker, but I walked away from it because I saw a need, and I hope you can appreciate the information, the value that you've received from this. I ask you to leave positive feedback. Don't beat up on me too hard about the quality of the videos with the bright light in the background, and go make it work. You can learn, but until you do, you don't really know. So take what you learned and go out there and just start doing. You'll learn more in 2 hours under the hood than you did the 8 hours or so that it took you to go through this course the first time. I'm rooting for you. Make me proud.